world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be my October book haul. Now I know I'm going to be getting at least one or two more books by the end of October because later this month we're going on vacation to Connecticut and I always get a spooky book whenever we go to Connecticut because we go every year in the fall, and that's just a big part of the fun of being in New England during spooky season. But I have a stack of library books here, and then I also have a bag. This is a Barnes & Noble bag, but only like 2 or 3 books in there are actually from Barnes & Noble. The rest are from the thrift store, and I'm just excited about all of them, so I want to talk to you about them. Let's go through the library books first. Now, I have been reading books from the library on my Kindle. I recently finished the 3rd Emily Wilde book from Heather Fawcett, which was from the library. I read The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, which was from the library. I have the 2nd book in the new series from Martha Wells to read. The first one was Witch King, which I got for Christmas last year and I absolutely loved. Queen Demon just came out and I happened to be first in line for a reservation, which never happens, so I do want to read that. And I also have The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I have never read anything by that author, but I thought The Bewitching would be a good one to read for right now, and I've had that one on my on my waiting list for so long, on my holds, because so many people have been reading it, so I do want to get that one done. I just finished a book on my Kindle this morning, so I will switch to one of those probably later today. But let's go through the books. So the first one would be a reread for me. This is The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. Now, I haven't read anything else by Sarah Waters. I read this book like 10 years ago and really, really loved it. And I've just been wanting to reread it recently. And I also really want to have Sarah Waters as one of the authors that I try to read all of her books. I will probably end up getting the versions that came out in the UK because I don't love the US covers, but the first one I thought I would do a reread of Little Stranger. Then I have a shorter one. I have looked at this book so many times in Barnes & Noble and I never bought it because it was really short, and I just have a hard time paying like full price for really short books for some reason. But this one is O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker, and it has an introduction from Maggie O'Farrell. I read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell last year or earlier this year and I really loved it, and I haven't really seen anyone talk about this one, but it's really short and it is about a murder, so I thought that it would be a fun one to read for spooky season. Then I have one I've never heard of before, and that is The Usual Desire to Kill by Camilla Barnes. And Camilla Barnes is, I believe, a, oh my gosh, what is it called? Like a theater writer? She's a playwright. That's what the word is. Playwright. Yeah. And this is her first novel, and it says Miranda's parents live in a dilapidated house in rural France that they share with 2 llamas, 8 ducks, 5 chickens, 2 cats, and a freezer full of food dating back to 1983. Miranda's father is a retired professor of philosophy who never loses an argument. Her mother likes to bring the conversation back to the war, although she was born after it ended. Married for 50 years, they are uncommonly set in their ways. Miranda plays the role of translator when she visits, communicating the desires or complaints of one parent to the other and then venting her frustration to her sister and her daughter. At the end of a visit, she reports the usual desire to kill. And this is just about like a family and their drama, and I typically don't do like family sagas or anything like that unless they have like spooky elements to them, but this one just sounded like it would be kind of fun, and it's pretty short, so I figured I would give it a chance. Then I have another spooky one. I have The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro, and this one is about La Llorona, and I have watched a horror movie version of La Llorona, which is a folk demon, and I thought this one would be interesting. This one says Alejandra no longer knows who she is. To her husband, she's a wife. To her children, a mother. To her own adoptive mother, she's a daughter. But they cannot see who she's become, a woman struggling with a darkness that threatens to consume her. Nor can they see what she sees. In times of despair, a ghostly vision appears to her, the apparition of a crying woman in a ragged white gown. When she visits a therapist, she begins exploring her family's history, starting with the biological mother she never knew. As she goes deeper into the lives of the women in her family, she learns that heartbreak and tragedy are not the only things she has in common with her ancestors, because the crying woman was with them too. She is La Llorona, the vengeful and murderous mother of Mexican legend, and she will not leave until Alejandra follows her mother, her grandmother, and all the women who came before her into darkness. I don't know. That just sounds like it's going to be really interesting. So I did really want to pick this one up. Yeah, I've never read anything by this author, but I thought that sounded interesting. Then we have one by one of my favorite authors. This is P. Djeli Clark's The Dead Cattail Assassins. I have read a handful of P. Djeli Clark books and novellas, and I absolutely love them. So I wanted to grab this one to read. This one is about Evine the Eviscerator, skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Tal Abisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the matron of assassins, resurrected, deadly, wiped of their memories, have only 3 unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Evine's pay grade. Second, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. Evine's a professional. She's never missed her mark. The third and the simplest, once you accept a job, you must carry it out. And if you stray, a final death would be a mercy. When the Festival of the Clockwork King turns the city upside down, Evine's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. I just really, really love P. Djeli Clark's writing. Let's see. I've read Master of Jinn. I've read Ring Shout. I've read The Haunting of Tramcar 015. And I feel like I've read one other, but I might be wrong. But I'm really excited for that one. Then we have Gothic Town by Emily Carpenter. I saw Sydney talking about this one, and it's a Southern Gothic psychological suspense one. It says, the email that lands in Billy Hope's inbox seems like a gift from the universe. For $100, she can purchase a spacious Victorian home in Juliana, Georgia, a small town eager to boost its economy in the wake of the pandemic. She can leave behind her cramped New York City rental and the painful memories of shuttering her once thriving restaurant and start over with her husband and daughter. Plus, she'll get a business grant to open a new restaurant in a charming riverside community laden with opportunity. A few phone calls and one hurried visit later, and Billy, Peter, and 6-year-old Meredith are officially part of the Juliana Initiative. The town is everything promised. 2 hours northwest of Atlanta, but a world away from city living, a gentle jewel with weather as warm as its people. Between settling into their lavish home and starting her new restaurant, Billy is busy enough to dismiss concerns. Yet those misgivings grow. Billy's sleep is marred by haunting dreams, and her marriage with Peter is growing increasingly strained. Meanwhile, the town elders, all descended from Juliana's founding families, exert a level of influence that feels less benevolent and more stifling day by day. There's something about Juliana, something off-kilter and menacing beneath that famous Southern hospitality. And no matter how much Billy longed for her family to come here, she's starting to wonder how and if they will ever leave. That just sounds fun. I love books that have to do with people like restoring houses and then discovering that they're haunted. I read a lot of those books, so I'm excited for that one. And the final book I have is one that I just thought would be fun for this season, and that is the Book of Witches, edited by Jonathan Strahan. And this one has a bunch of stories and poems just about witches in it. There's stories in here from P. Djeli Clark, Ken Liu, Darcy Little Badger, Cassandra Caw, who I have read from, C.L. Clark, who I think I've read from, Garth Nix, Andrea Stewart, Tochi Onyebuchi, Fonda Lee, and Amal El Motar, who I have read from. So I don't know that I'll sit here and read all of the stories in here, but I do want to flip through and read a couple. This one I might actually take with us on vacation. I'll have to see when I have to take these back to the library. I don't remember. And then just have a good time at reading these. This one I have picked up so many times to buy. I remember when it came out, I had it on my list. But yeah, $40 for this hardback. Are you serious? Absolutely not. I am excited that I found that one at the library. Now let's go through my books that I got from the thrift store and from Barnes & Noble. I'm really in the mood to read kind of classics right now and more like literature versus just total fantasy or horror. So one that I found that's like brand new is Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest and Other Plays. Now I haven't read from Oscar Wilde other than reading Dorian Gray a couple years ago, and I would like to reread that because at the time I remember not really enjoying it that much, but I just feel like it deserves a reread, so I am excited to have this one. Then I grabbed this one, which is an Umberto Eco called Baudolino, and this one is an epic historical war, crusade, something like that. It takes place in 1204 and in Constantinople during the Crusades. And I have not read anything by Umberto Eco, but I absolutely love historical fiction set in like really, really old times. So I'm excited to potentially get to this one. I have The Name of the Rose right there. It's the second book from the left on my TBR cart to get to very soon. So I thought hopefully I'll enjoy it and then want to read more from that author. Then I have one that I've had over the years and I always end up donating it back, but I decided I want to try to actually read it this time. This one is The Magician's Assistant by Ann Patchett. I've never read anything by Ann Patchett, but I thought this one would be probably the most interesting for me. It is about Sabine, who has been a magician's assistant, but she's suddenly a widow, and it says there's something with a false identity, family allegedly lost in a tragic accident but revealed as very much alive. She's named as an heir in their will. I don't know, it just sounds weird, and I thought that I might enjoy that one, so that's why I decided to pick it up. Then I also grabbed The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This one takes place in New York. She works at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I'm trying to get the stickers off, that's what I'm doing, so I can actually read what the hell it says on the back. Academic curiosity quickly turns into obsession when she discovers a hidden deck of 15th century tarot cards that might hold the key to predicting the future. This one sounds like it'll be really good for this time of year, so I'm excited to get this one. Damn, that Read with Jenna isn't a sticker. That's actually part of the frickin' book. That's annoying. But hopefully I will enjoy that one. Then I grabbed, is it Candide? Candide? Something like that, by Voltaire. I've never read anything by Voltaire. I don't know why I am as fascinated by him as I am, but I would really like to read something from Voltaire. Then I have The Dubliners by James Joyce. I've never read anything from James Joyce, but this was the one that they had, so I figured I would pick this one up and try to give it a read. Is James Joyce the one that people say is like really, really difficult to read? We'll see how that goes. And then the last couple books are the ones that I have from Barnes & Noble. So all of these books, I got these books for $19, and then I went to Barnes & Noble and got these books for like $60 or something ridiculous. I always use any like points that I have at Barnes & Noble, but other than the book that I'm going to be getting, the 1 or 2 books that I'll get when we go to Connecticut, that's it for now, because for new personal life reasons I need to not spend a lot of money. I've been working my way through a lot of books. Today is the 14th and I have finished 14 books so far in October. I didn't start all of them in October, but I've been wrapping some books up. I'm actually working on wrapping up another book now, but I wanted to take a break and quick film this so I could get this edited and posted for Friday. But I will be working my way through a lot of my books. So I decided to pick up The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. I've never read anything from Anne Radcliffe, but I've been watching a lot of the Emma's videos, and she mentioned that she read The Italian and really enjoyed it, so I wanted to pick it up. This one is like a weird kind of horror. Yeah, Anne Radcliffe was a gothic romance author, and I've never read anything from her, so I really wanted to. Then I picked up The Impusium by Olga Tokarczuk, translated by Antonia Lloyd-Jones. This one is a health resort horror story, and I also have The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann on my Kindle. It just dropped to a daily deal yesterday for like $1, so I picked it up, and I really want to read that, but I also really want to read this one, again influenced by Emma. Another one that I've had in the past and donated, but I decided to get a cheaper copy, is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I've never read Phantom of the Opera, I've never seen the play, I have never seen any of the movie adaptations, but again, one of Emma's favorite books, so I was heavily influenced. And then I got a nonfiction. I love nonfiction books about different time periods or about different locations that are collections of stories or collections of like dates or people, and that's what this one is. And it's Alistair Moffat's Scotland's Forgotten Past: A History of the Misplaced, Mislaid, and Misunderstood. And this one is a collection of, oh, I forget how many, but it's 36. Yeah, a collection of 36 events in Scotland's history that are either misremembered or people forgot about them. And I thought this would be really fascinating to read because my husband and I are planning our very first overseas trip. Next year, we're going to be going to Edinburgh. And so while I've been planning that out, I have also been wanting to read more about Scotland. And so I sat down when I was in Barnes & Noble and I read the introduction, and this just sounded like it was going to be a fun, super easy way to get into kind of some Scottish history, and then we'll hopefully build from there for the next year, kind of reading from Scottish authors and reading Scottish literature and fantasy and horror and all kinds of things. So that's why I got this one. I have my window open because it's really cold today, and I just wanted the window open, so sorry if you can hear a bunch of sirens that just went by. But those are all of the books that I have for my October book haul. Anything that I get on vacation will probably show up in like November. I am planning loosely to film a vacation vlog of us going to Connecticut, but I honestly don't know if that will happen. Like, we're going to Connecticut, it's paid for, but I'm saying I don't know if the vlog will happen because I just have not been wanting to be perceived or really be on my phone at all over the last couple weeks. I have started and deleted a couple times different vlog like introductions for reading for October, but this month has just not gone how I thought it was going to go initially, so just anticipate a very long wrap up at the end of the month because I'm getting a lot of reading done, and I will hopefully update you guys more as like I figure out my place in the world, I guess. But I'm just reading a lot right now, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm also playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic right now, which is one of my favorite games, and watching a lot of YouTube videos, and just kind of trying to stay as grounded and in the moment as I can. I ran a 5K over the weekend, which was a lot of fun, just at the gym, like nothing super exciting, but that was one of my goals for the end of October that I had, like very loosely set, was to get back to running longer distances, because what I've been doing is running like a mile at a time, or 2 miles, but this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I felt great, so I ran a 5K, and then I'm hoping to continue that and just very slowly continue to build my mileage back up as a runner. My husband and I were talking where it's been 7 years now since I've been running, which is crazy. I remember when I started running in 2018, and how it took me a while to get to the point where I could run a mile, and then my farthest run I ever did was 16 miles. I've run a handful of half marathons. I've never done a full marathon. I've done a handful of half marathons, a handful of trail runs in the woods that were longer. I would love to get back to doing like 10 milers on the weekend. I just really, really enjoy doing long runs, but I also, if you haven't been on my channel, or I did just unprivate a lot of older videos, but in 2019, like a year after I started running, I blew out my knee, and that's because I was running way too much and not doing enough in between runs to recover, and I ended up I ran a trail run, which they didn't mark very well, the one final turn, and so like half of us ran an extra 3 miles, so what was supposed to be a 12-mile trail run for my first longer run like that in the woods ended up being 15 miles, and I was just exhausted and frustrated by the end. And then literally the next weekend I ran 8 miles, like a road race, and my knee was like, you dumb bitch. So I ended up damaging my left knee years ago, and so since then I've really struggled with getting back into running without accidentally overdoing it. And so this year I've been going very, very slow with building back up my running. Like, in the past, in 2018 and 2019 when I was running, I would have run, you know, a 5K, and then the next day I would have run 4 miles, and then the next day I would have run, you know, however. But what I did this time was, since Saturday, I think it was Saturday, I went for a run and I did my 5K, and I haven't run since then. Or it was Friday. Yeah, I ran it on Friday. So, yeah, so I haven't run since then, even though I really wanted to, because I've been giving my knee plenty of time to rest and recover. I am taking it very, very slow, but I am really just kind of enjoying being in the moment. I'm not wearing a running watch, which is like brand new for me, but I've been loving not caring about my times when I'm running and just enjoying, you know, mileage instead of times. I used to want to be a very fast runner, and I used to have crazy mileage and like really, really fast times. Like, if you're a runner or if you care about this at all, my fastest 10K when I was like really, really running was under an hour. For like an average human runner is very fast. And my fastest mile ever was like under 8 minutes. Now I'm like very comfortably sitting between 10 and 12 minutes, depending on just kind of the vibes, how hot and humid it is, you know, if I'm running outside, if I'm running inside. So not really caring about that, which is new for me because I'm very much like someone that needs to like quantify everything. But yeah, super long just because I am in the mood to film right now, so I figured why not. I have a lot of books on my TBR. So the one that I am finishing up right now is Women in the Valley of the Kings by Kathleen Shepard. So this one I just pulled from my shelf because I did my unread nonfiction. I have finished a handful of those books since that video. And so I am over halfway done this one. It looks like I'm not, but the end of the book is a lot of, it's like a huge section on acknowledgments and stuff. Like, this is all references and acknowledgments, so I only have this much left. I have 100 pages left, and I'm really enjoying it. It's talking about the women Egyptologists at the beginning, like the turn of the century, like late 1800s into early 1900s, and all of the women that were also in Egypt doing a lot of the excavations and documenting everything with the men, but how they never were included in the historical like accounts of famous Egyptologists and like the establishment of the field of Egyptology in the Western world. The book is doing a pretty good job of being like, even so, these are colonizers and like doing terrible things to people. And like, yeah, they didn't mention the white women that were involved, but they didn't mention any of the like Egyptian people that were helping them the whole freaking time, taking care of them and like doing actually like all of the digging. Yeah, so it's been pretty interesting. It's definitely a good like jumping off point, I think, for learning more about the history of like Egyptology, especially the UK's role in establishing the field and the kind of horrific ways that they treated people in Egypt and the property and the artifacts and all of that. Like, the section that I just read was about when they started having parties where they would it was literally like a party, and you would come and watch the owner of a mummy unwrap it in front of everyone, and then the one of the women Egyptologists was like very snarky about it, and she was like, well, these people who say that we should just leave these bodies alone don't understand, we're scientists. And it's like, you can be a scientist without like desecrating bodies, like I don't know. So it's really interesting so far. So I am enjoying that one though. And then I also need to finish The Last Graduate. I have not picked this one up because I was finishing up some other ones. So I'm still on chapter 4, still 93 pages in. So I need to finish that one. But the plan for today is to finish this one and then see where the world takes me, which book I want to read next. Just know that I am reading. Yes, I'm acquiring books, even though I said I wasn't going to, but who cares? And let me know what you guys are currently reading. Have you gotten any books that you're excited for in October? And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.